Good morning everyone. Welcome to the weekly roundup. My name is Anuj and I will be taking this session for today. In this session we will be covering about the most important news which have occurred in the past week. So in today's session we will be covering 5 main news, 6 also in news and 1 place in news. In main news basically we will be covering about the Nobel Prize which has been awarded in the past week. So basically 5 prizes has been awarded for physics, medicine, chemistry, literature and peace. So we will be understanding what was the experiment about and what are their practical implications. Then we will be reading about the visit of Afghanistan foreign minister to India. Then about the landslide which have occurred in the eastern Himalayan region. Also in news, we will be understanding about commercial coal mining, Kosi River, security transaction tax, legal protection of wetland in India, Great Green Wall Initiative, and district judge appointment in India. And in place in news, we will be covering about Vietnam. So this is the overview of this session. So let's begin with the first main news. First main news. In the first main news, we will discuss about the Nobel Prize in Physics, which recognize the quantum properties on a human scale. And it is related to GS paper 3, Science and Technology. So in this, we will be understanding about this quantum properties and what was the experiment about and how this experiment is useful for us. So this was about this news. So to whom this award was given? So this award was given to 3 people. One, John Clark. Another one is Michael Devor and John Martinez. So they are from USA and they have been awarded for macroscopic quantum mechanical tunneling and energy quantization in electrical circuit. So don't get scared or don't get feared that this is too much of technical news. We can understand this in an easy way and we can understand what are its uses in our examination, and we will see also the PYQs which are related to this news after the discussion of this topic. So before starting, let us understand about quantum mechanics and how this is different from classical mechanics. So in quantum mechanics, every small object, extremely small object, simultaneously have the characteristics of both particle of matter, and waves. By waves you can understand by Wi-Fi waves, so they can cross the physical barrier. Such type of properties are there in quantum mechanics. And basically their most important properties which are being studied continuously are superimposition and entanglement. So for entanglement, Nobel Prize was also given in 2022. So what does superimposition mean? Superimposition means that a qubit or a particle can be at 2 places at single time. This is not possible in classical mechanics. So this is superimposition. And in entanglement, suppose there are 2 particles which are related to each other, and one is with you and another with is your friend who is very far away from you. Suppose you are disturbing the particle which is with you, the particle which is with your friend will be automatically get disturbed. So that is entanglement. And for entanglement, Nobel Prize was given in 2022. So that shows the importance of quantum mechanics. So in last 3 years, including this year, 2 Nobel Prizes in physics is given for quantum mechanics. So before understanding their experiment, we will understand about quantum tunneling. What is quantum tunneling? And what is quantization? So these are the 2 properties in quantum mechanics we will be understanding. Suppose you are playing cricket. So this is pitch, batsman here, or suppose you are the batsman and bowler is here. and bowler is throwing ball to you. So in most of the cases, what will happen? Ball will take ball will get pitched on the pitch and it will come to you as you are playing. So that is true when the bowler is bowling and the ball is pitching at the pitch. But in quantum mechanics, this ball can cross the physical barrier. That means it can go inside the pitch. The going of ball inside the pitch is known as tunneling. That means tunneling means passing of particles directly through a barrier, a physical barrier. That is quantum tunneling. And when we understanding about quantization, so normally in classic mechanics, we see that energy flow on a continuous basis. That means that the bowler who was bowling, suppose he has released the ball from his hand, so ball will be changing its energy continuously. But in quantization, in quantum mechanics, the ball will be releasing energy in phases. That means in this, the particle in the bound state can have only discrete value of properties such as energy. You can understand it by this example. Suppose this is a ladder at your house. So in quantum mechanics, the energy proportion can be only on the steps. They cannot be continuous. They can jump from one state to other, but they cannot be in the continuous flow. That means the quantization in quantum mechanics. So this was basic about quantum tunneling and quantization. So I hope you understood these properties of quantum mechanics. Now we will understand what was the experiment about. So the experiment was conducted in 1980s. And what was the experiment? So the experiment was that they have taken two superconductors. So suppose these are the two superconductors. And what does superconductors means? That they have very low resistance and they can pass electricity or electron ions without any resistance. So they have taken two superconductors and they have separated them by a layer which was not condensive or that does not allow the passage of electrons from it. So what they have observed at a particular temperature after lot of experiment, that the electrons were passing from one superconductor to the another. That passage of electrons from one superconductor to another, we have already understood that the passage of a particle from a physical barrier is known as tunneling. So what did it show? It showed that tunneling is possible in human world or at the macro level. Okay, this was their first observation. And what was the second observation? Second observation was that circuit absorbed and emitted energy in discrete amounts. So that is quantization. So that was their basic experiment. And for what it will be used? It will be used for quantum computing, and it has proved that quantum mechanics even applies to the large system in the real world. Before that, quantum mechanics was on papers. They have brought the quantum mechanics in the practical world. So basically the international companies like IBM and Google who are building their quantum computers, they are using these properties. Okay, so for this Nobel Prize was given, and basically in examination they can ask you about what is tunneling, what is quantization, or basically about quantum mechanics as well. So this was their experiment and practical observations, and we will look into the various PYQs which have been asked. So there is one PYQ from 2008 It is wrongly written here 2018, it was there in 2008. So what was the question? Who among the following scientists shared the Nobel Prize in Physics with his son? So basically, these are the interesting facts about Nobel Prize, such as other Nobel fact or the other interesting fact about the Nobel Prize are that it was started in 1901. Rabindranath Tagore was the first non-European and the first Indian who got Nobel Prize in literature. Madame Curie was the first woman to be awarded by the Nobel Prize, and she was awarded twice, one for physics and another one for chemistry. So such type of facts can be remembered, interesting facts about Nobel Prizes, so that if they appeared in the examination, you can solve them. So it will be available on Google. Just try to find out from these given option and comment your answer in the comment section below, that who among the following scientists shared the Nobel Prize in Physics with his son. So option are Max Planck, Albert Einstein, William Henry Bragg, Enrico Fermi. So these are the 4 options. Please search on the Google, or you can use ChatGPT as well and try to answer this question. Another question which has appeared from this is in 2021. The question is from mains GS paper 3, that Nobel Prize in Physics of 2014 was jointly awarded to Akasaki, Amano and Nakamura for the invention of blue LEDs in 1990s. How has this invention impacted the everyday life of human being? So don't think that this question is asking about the discovery of 2014. Suppose there is question about quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is there from a long time, and it will be there in the future as well, because every country or every big corporation is trying to build their quantum computers. And still there we are proving about the usage of quantum cryptography, quantum sensors. So these type of development will be going on there. So in the exam, they can ask about the quantum mechanics and how the Nobel Prize or this year Nobel Prize has makes advancement in quantum computing and quantum mechanics. So this was about the Nobel Prize of Physics. Now we will understand about the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. This is very interesting. Again, it is related to GS paper 3, Science and Technology. In this, we will be understanding for what this award has been given and what is its practical implication. So please listen carefully. I know most of you have not liked biology in your schools or colleges, but it is very easy. First of all, we will understand to whom the award was given. The award was given to Mary Brunkow, Fred Ramsdell, who are from USA, and Simone Sakaguchi, who is from Japan. And for what this award was given? It was given for peripheral immune tolerance. Okay. Now we will understand what is peripheral immune tolerance and how the immune system of human body works. It is very easy, don't get scared. So actually peripheral immune system include immune components outside the central nervous system. And what does central nervous system include? It includes brain and spinal cord. So this is the basic about this news. Now we will understand about the basic of immune system in our body. So even if you are not preparing for this exam, this working of immune system is very understandable and it is very interesting as well. So in our body, blood has 3 types of cells: red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Okay. So in these 3 types, white blood cells work as an immune system, work for the immune system. And specifically in white blood cell, it is T cells which provide immunity to our body. So let us understand about T cells. So before their discovery, we used to know that there are two types of T cells. One is helper T cell and another one is killer T cells. Okay. So how they are different and what is their work? So first coming to helper T cell. So basically helper T cell is like police. It will be roaming all around your body and it will be checking if there is any infection or is there any outsider who is entering your body for infecting you. So that is the work of helper T cell. As soon as helper T cell will find out that okay, this virus or this bacteria is infecting this part or the cell, it will go and tell to the killer T cell. Okay, and as the name of the cell implies, it is killer. That means it will go and it will try to kill the infection. Okay, so that was the basic understanding before this experiment. So basically when start killing or then start removing the infection from the outside, so at one point of time it has to stop because otherwise it will go and attack our body parts as well. So for that both the cell has to pass through thymus gland. And what is the work of thymus gland? Thymus gland is like C-set paper in your prelims. What does it do? It check if any T cell is attacking our own cells. Then it will say that your life is over, you can no longer be the part of the immune system. Okay, that is the function of thymus. Okay, so that is basically about the function of helper T cell, killer T cells and thymus. So this is the basic about immune system and the understanding before this discovery. So what was the discovery? So what Sakaguchi did is, he has taken a mice, 1 or 2 days old, and he removed the thymus of that. He removed the thymus. So now there is no C-set paper. So what he did is, he injected it with mice with mature T cells. So even then he noticed that paper was going on. That means someone was checking that the T cell has to stop now or they have to not attack the own body parts. So he has noticed that okay, even if thymus is removed, even then some T cells are telling other T cells, okay, calm down, your work has been completed, don't go on attacking spree. Okay, so he found out that and he named another T cells which he named them as regulatory T cells. Okay. So this was Sakaguchi work and he has found about the regulatory T cells. But he was not aware that how these T cells or regulatory T cells was controlled. Okay, who was regulating these regulatory T cells? So here come the experiment of Brunko and Ramsdell. Okay, what was they doing? Okay, you might be knowing about the Manhattan Project of USA. Okay, write in the comment section what was the Manhattan Project was about. There was a famous movie also last year which was made on this project. Okay, so in this project there was lot of radiation, and due to this radiation, some of the male mice was getting autoimmune disease. What are autoimmune disease? Basically, autoimmune disease are where our immune system start attacking our own body parts or own cells. That is autoimmune disease. Okay. So they started the such type of mice was called as scurfy mice. So now they started finding, like, according to which genes or which gene is responsible for this autoimmune disease. So they found out that FOXP3 gene is responsible for the autoimmunity in these scurfy mice. And in human, this order is known as IPEX. Okay. So from their findings, Yakaguchi has come to a conclusion that these genes are also responsible for regulating the regulatory T cells. Okay, so this was the whole experiment. This was the about our immune system. I think you might have understood it. Okay, now we will understand their practical usage or significance. Okay, first of all, they will be helping us in finding the cure to the cancer tumors. So in cancer, what happens is, suppose this is the cancerous cell, there will be lot of regulatory T cells surrounding it, and they won't allow the immune system to attack the cancer cell. So when we come to know about regulatory T cells, we can arrange or we can provide a way so that the immune system and the medicine can go and kill the cancerous cell. So that is the first major significance. Second, in autoimmune disease, there is lack of regulatory T cell. That means the killer T cell does not know that when they should have to stop. So basically, in autoimmune disease, we can tell our regulatory T cells, then go and stop the killer T cells. Okay, this is the second significance. And the third significance is, suppose we are transplanting organs from one human being to another human being, and that organ from the another human being or from another animal is a foreign particle to the our immune system, they will go and attack that organ. So we can better implement or better transplant the organs from one human to the another, or animals to the humans. So that is the basic significance of their discovery. So this was about the Nobel Prize of Biology. Okay, I hope this has made little bit simpler to make you understand about this year's prize in medicines. Okay. Now we will move to the third main news. In third main news, we will understand about the Nobel Prize for Chemistry, and we will also briefly discuss about the Nobel Prize in Literature and Peace. Again, it is related to GS paper 3. For Literature and Peace, basically it can be asked in prelims examination, and you can consider it as part of art and culture. Okay. So this is the third news. First, we will understand about the Nobel Prize of Chemistry. So to whom it was given? It was given to Richard Robson from Australia, Susumu Kitagawa from Japan, and Omar Yagi from USA. And for what this year's Chemistry Nobel Prize is given? It is given for metal organic framework. Okay, this is given for metal organic framework. When you will be under, when you might have studied chemistry in your schools, you might have understood about the two branches of chemistry. One is organic and another one is inorganic. Okay. And most of you don't like the organic chemistry because there are too many of bonds and the structure is very complex. It is related to the carbon compounds. So what they have done is they have developed the first metal organic framework. Now we will understand what are metallic organic frameworks and what are their practical usage. Okay. So basically, MOFs are molecular architecture that packs vast amount of space into a tiny structure. That is the basic definition of MOF. And you can understand, many of you might have seen Doraemon Doraemon used to have a little bag on its stomach, and he used to bring out many large objects from that. So that can be understood that molecular architectures packs vast amount of space into their tiny structure. Understanding it in more better way, suppose you are constructing your house. So what you will be doing, you will be uh, standing pillars of iron, and in between you will be putting cements. Okay, these can be seen as cements. So here these metal pillars can be called as metal ions, and cement can be called as the molecular organic molecule link which link them together. So that is an anatomy, and which is provided by the Nobel Prize website as well. So basics structure of a house, and these rooms which are there, they provide ample space or a lot of space, and this vacant space or porous space is responsible for usage of these MOFs. Okay, in corners there will be metal ions, and in between there will be organic molecules link which will be linking them together. Okay, so this is about MOFs, and now we will look into their applications. And as I told you, their applications are from the vast amount of space between them, and they are porous. So we can pass air from them. So basically, from these properties, these MOFs are very useful. Okay, so what are their practical applications? One, they are important for water harvesting, or they can be used for water harvesting. So how they can be used? You can put a MOF above the dry air. So when dry air will pass through them, they will absorb the water from it. Okay, they also remove pollutant. Suppose you pass water from them, so they will remove PFAS, which are also known as forever chemicals. Okay, these are also known as forever chemicals. Okay, what are forever chemicals? Okay, so please study about forever chemicals and write in the comment section that what are forever chemicals and why they are known as forever chemicals. Okay, so they can also remove the forever chemicals. Okay, they can also capture the carbon effectively, and they can also store hydrogen. Okay, basically because of its vast space, it can be used as for removal of pollutant, for harvesting water, for carbon capturing, as well as hydrogen storage. So this was about the Nobel Prize of Chemistry of this year. Okay. Now we will briefly see about the Nobel Prize for Literature as well as Nobel Prize of Peace. Okay, first be very clear that Donald Trump has not won the Nobel Prize for Peace. Now we will see if he implies some tariff on Norway or not, but the basic news is that Trump has not won any, or sorry, Nobel Prize is not been awarded to Donald Trump. Okay. So to whom it was awarded? Nobel Prize for Peace this year has been awarded to Maria Corona Machado. And for what she was awarded and from where she is? She is from Venezuela, and she was awarded this year Nobel Prize for promoting democratic right for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. Okay, so this is basic about Nobel Prize for Peace. You cannot believe that once Hitler was also nominated for Nobel Peace Prize. Later, the nomination was withdrawn and it was said that it was a satire, but he was nominated for Nobel Peace Prize in 1939. Okay. Now coming to the Nobel Prize for Literature. Okay. So this year, Nobel Prize for Literature has been awarded to Hungarian writer Laszlo Krasznahorkai, and his major work are Santanago, The Melancholy of Resistance, and War. These are his major works. So he is from Hungary, and he has been awarded with the Nobel Prize for Literature this year. Okay, so these were all the Nobel Prizes which has been awarded this week. Next week, Nobel Prize for Economics will be awarded. Economics will be awarded. Okay, then in the next session we will be reading or the understanding about the Nobel Prize of Economics. So before moving further, we will understand or we will read one PYQ. So this PYQ has appeared in UPSC CAPF 2024. Don't get scared that why we are discussing the CAPF question, because basically it's a tendency in UPSC where it asked similar type of question or one question that is asked in one examination to the other examinations. Okay. So what was the question? The question was, which of the following statement about the Nobel Peace Prize of 2023 is or are correct? The first statement is that the 2023 Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to Nargis Mohammadi, and second statement is that Nargis Mohammadi was awarded the prize for her struggle to bring peace in Afghanistan and Iran. Okay, I think you might not remember this, but the first statement is correct. The 2023 Nobel Prize was awarded to Nargis Mohammadi, but she was awarded for fighting for the women's rights, not for bringing the peace in Afghanistan and Iran. So second statement become wrong. So answer for this will be A, one only. Okay, so such type of question can appear in UPSC examination. So you can read basically about from where they are and what are their major work and for what they have been awarded. Okay, in peace and literature, for medicine and chemistry and physics, their application part become very important. Okay. Now we will move to the next news. So there is major development, which is that Foreign Minister of Afghanistan has visited India. Why this is so important? And what are the major outcome of the visit? And why there is change in stand in India? That we will be understanding in this news. And this is related to GS paper 2, which talks about India and its neighborhood relations, and GS 3, role of external state and non-state actors in creating challenges to internal security of India. So this is the fourth main news. So we will start with the development. If you might have read the newspaper, there was lot of discussion and there was lot of anticipation about the incoming or the visit of the foreign minister, acting foreign minister of Afghanistan. You might have read many articles and even the editorials about the flag dilemma. Okay, what was this flag dilemma was all about? Okay, so basically India does not recognize Taliban as a state. So they cannot use their flag whenever they are visiting. This is the first time any minister from Taliban is visiting to India. So there was a question that which map we will be using, which flag they will be using. There is another flag as well, which is of the older regime of before, which was there in 2021. It is still hosted at the Afghanistan embassy in Delhi. So to avoid that, to face that situation, these Afghanistan minister has from the another gate, so that he cannot see the older flag of that Afghanistan. And there was the dilemma in front of the Indian government and the Indian dignitaries as well, that which flag should we put in front of the ministers. So what we did is, we did not put any map, and even Indian map was not there in the background. So that dilemma was solved. So now we will see what was the key highlights of the visit. First, India has upgraded its technical mission, which was there in Kabul, to a full embassy. Okay, when USA withdrawal from the Afghanistan, India closed its embassy in 2021, and in 2022, to support our humanitarian efforts in Afghanistan, we opened a technical mission. Now we have said that we will make it as a full embassy. Okay, Second major outcome was that Afghanistan agreed to coordinate effort to combat terrorism. Okay, this is very important, and they have said that they won't allow their territory to be used against India. Okay. Third, there is starting of India-Afghanistan air freight corridor. Basically, the trade between India and Afghanistan now is around 1 billion. And there are many hurdles. Even the Chabar port has been sanctioned or threatened to be sanctioned by USA. So we are finding basically connectivity has become weak. So we are starting India-Afghanistan air freight corridor. Okay. So these are the key highlights of the visit of Foreign Minister of Afghanistan. And now why there has been change in Indian engagement with Afghanistan. Okay, till now we have not given the recognition of Afghanistan or the Taliban regime of Afghanistan as a state. Okay, so this is the first important fact, that we have not given them as a state recognition. Then why we are engaging with them? The basic reason is pragmatism. Okay, if we see the western part of India, here is Pakistan, then Afghanistan, China, and other Iran and other Central Asian countries. So there is lot of activities which are going in this area, and the big power plays countries like China, Russia, and USA are getting involved in this. China is making its foot very strong in these areas. Russia has already given the recognition to Taliban-led Afghanistan as a state, and USA is continuously involved, and even it said that we want the Bagram air base in the Afghanistan. Okay, so this is the power situation here, and to make the pragmatic decision, India has started engaging or has officially engaged with the Afghanistan. Okay, so that is the basic. Now other reason are that advancing national interest and security concerns. So these areas are very much prone to terrorism. So for our own security and national interest, we have started engaging with Afghanistan now. Okay, now and we in second point we will be reading that it is important for countering the regional influence of countries like Pakistan and China. Okay. Third, there has been geopolitical shift, and there is a rift between Pakistan and Taliban. Before, Pakistan was supporting Taliban from back end. Now that there is a clear rift, so there is change in geopolitical situation. Fourth point here is that we want to bring goodwill and trust in the Afghan people. So we have invested around 3 billion US dollars from 2001 to 2021. So to protect our investment, we have to engage with the Afghanistan. Okay. So there are some concerns as well. So now we will understand the basic key concerns in India and Afghanistan relation presently. So what are the key concerns? First, Taliban's autocratic regime has low regards to human rights, particularly to those of women. Even the women journalist was not allowed to the press conference of Taliban leader, which took place in the embassy. Okay. So that is the first concern. Second concern is the presence of Afghan refugees which came to India after the fallout of Kabul. So these are the concerns. I have already told you about the reason why we are engaging and what are the key outcome of this meeting. So now we will see the PYQs. So first is from prelims, and this question is from 2022. In 2021, Afghanistan was there in news continuously. So this question came that consider the following countries: Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. Which of the above have border with Afghanistan? So this is the question. And in 2021, Afghanistan was continuously in news. Okay. So if we see the Afghanistan map somewhere here, so this is Pakistan, this is India, this is China, and this is Tajikistan. Then we have Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan and Iran. So these are the neighboring countries of Afghanistan. So Azerbaijan is somewhere near Caspian Sea here, near the Caspian Sea, and Kyrgyzstan is above Tajikistan. So these two countries does not share border with Afghanistan. So answer will be 3, 4 and 5, which will be option 3. And there was one PYQ related to Afghanistan in 2013. So what was the question? The proposed withdrawal of the International Security Assistance Force from Afghanistan in 2014 is fraught with major security implication for the countries of the region. Okay, this is the first part. Second part of the question is, examine in the light of the fact that India is faced with a plethora of challenges and needs to safeguard its own strategic interest. So basically in 2013, the International Security Assistance Forces, which is a multinational NATO-led force that was opting out or moving out from the Afghanistan, and which later moved out from Afghanistan in 2014. So in 2013 only UPSC asked that what will be the implication on India and in the overall region. Okay, and how these implication or how these point or moving out of international security assistance force will impact the India's security interest. Okay, so this was the question. Similarly, another question can be in like now, why India is changing its stand, or why India is like dealing with the Afghanistan, which is led by the Taliban. Okay, so such type of question can be asked in your mains examination. Okay, so these were the PYQs from this topic. And okay, in the next news, we will be understanding about the massive landslide which has occurred in the eastern Himalayan region. So in this news, basically we will be understanding about landslide and why Himalayan region is more vulnerable to the landslide hazard. Okay, so we will be covering that in this news, and it is related to GS paper 1, where it is given about the important geophysical phenomenon. In GS paper 3, which talks about disaster and disaster management. Okay, so we will see to the news. So basically, what is the context of the news? That multiple landslide has occurred in Darjeeling and Kalimpong region of West Bengal. And where is this region? This region is somewhere here. Okay, so these two districts, Darjeeling and Kalimpong districts, are affected by landslide. So we will understand what is landslide and what is the basic definition of landslide. So landslide is a mass movement of material such as rocks, earth or debris down a slope under the influence of gravity. Okay, so this is the basic definition of landslide, which can be used if the question is about the landslide in the introduction. Now we will quickly understand about the India's vulnerability to landslide. Okay, you can see the map that this portion, okay, and this portion is hugely impacted by landslide. Okay, this is Himalayan region and this is Western Ghat region. So these two regions are mostly affected by the landslide, and in this also Sikkim area, about 50%, 54% of Sikkim area is vulnerable to the landslide. And outside Himalayan region, Kerala is largely impacted by the landslide, as around 14% of Kerala's land or the Kerala's area is impacted or is vulnerable to the landslide. So these are the basic facts, and more than 3/4 of vulnerable region of landslide lies in Himalayan region. So we will understand why Himalayan region is more vulnerable to the landslide. So when we are reading about why the Himalayan region is more vulnerable, we can also compare it to the Western Ghat region. Because in the previous slide, we have seen that along with Himalayan region, the Western Ghats are vulnerable to landslide. So whenever you are writing about the reasons for any hazard, you can divide them into two parts. One is natural, another one is anthropogenic causes. Okay. So in natural region, Himalayan are tectonically unstable. That means that Indian plate is still moving and it's going under Eurasian plate. So Himalayas are still forming and they are tectonically very unstable. That leads to landslides, that leads to earthquake. So these type of issues are there in Himalayan region. When compared to the Himalayan region, Western Ghats are more stable. Okay. Then these are the soil in Himalayan region is have loose sediments. So that leads to further landslides. Second major reason is rainfall and weather. And with the climate change, the extreme weather changes are occurring, and that is leading to more landslides. And regions such as cloudburst and snow melts are already there. So due to snow melts, that water peeps into the soil and it become very unstable. The issue of snow melting is not there in Western Ghats. Okay, so these are the basic difference between the regions of vulnerability of Himalayan region and the Western Ghat. Anthropogenic regions will be same in the both the areas, such as that there is unplanned construction and there are many hydropower project which are going in both the regions. Okay, so these were the reasons why Himalayan regions are more vulnerable to the landslides. Okay, now we will see the landslide management guidelines by National Disaster Management Authority. Okay, so whenever you are writing about the management guidelines, divide the disaster into three phases. Suppose you can divide, or you can draw the infographic in your exam as well. This is the phase of disaster. This is phase of pre-disaster. And this is the phase of post-disaster. Okay. So at the time of disaster, suppose disaster occur here, you will respond to the disaster. Before disaster, you will try to prevent and prepare. And after the disaster, you will try to recover. So whenever there is a question about disaster and disaster management, you can divide your management in three phases. One is pre-disaster, at the time of disaster, and the post-disaster. That is prevention and preparedness, response and recovery. So that is the basic planning which can be used for effective writing. Okay. And what are the guidelines given by the NDMA? That is vulnerability and risk assessment. So zonal mapping should be there, that which are the region which are hugely vulnerable to the landslides. Okay. So second management guidelines is that multi-hazard conceptualization. That means that landslide should not be looked into as a isolated disaster. It should be seen along with the disasters such as earthquake. So if there is an earthquake, there are very high chances that landslide will be there in the Himalayan regions. Okay. So third is that early warning system should be there. Okay, that comes under prevention and preparedness. Then there should be emergency preparedness and response. So that comes at the time of disaster. So there should be involvement of scientists, engineers, local people, as well as army, police, so that we can respond quickly and in an effective way. Okay, so this was the basic guidelines given by the NDMA. Now we will look into the PYQs related to this news. So both the PYQs are from the year 2021. One was there in GS paper 1 and another was there in GS paper 3. Okay, what was the first question? That differentiate the causes of landslide in Himalayan region and Western Ghat. So you can divide the answer into 3 parts, that is introduction, body and conclusion. In introduction you can basically define landslide, and you can also write some facts about vulnerability of India, that is around 12%. And in body you can differentiate what is the causes of landslide in Himalayas and how they are different from the Western Ghat. Okay, you can also draw the map and show that what are the areas which are vulnerable to the landslide. Okay, and in conclusion you can write about the management guidelines. Okay, and in GS paper 3 there was the question that describe the various causes and effects of the landslide, mention the important components of national landslide risk management strategy, which is given by NDMA. It was given in 2019. So basically you can also here divide the answer, but you have to write about the causes as well as the effect. Okay, and also write about the important component of national landslide risk management strategy. Okay, so for disaster, there are like very few notes which are available in the market. So whichever disaster or whenever you are preparing about the disaster topic, prepare them in a more holistic way. Causes, effect, and what are the NDMA guidelines or the best international practices which can be written in your answer. So this was the about this news. Now we will cover the place in news. So the place in news which we will be covering in this week is Myanmar. And why we are covering this is that the Myanmar military dropped bombs on the protesters. Okay, so this is the development here. So we will be knowing about the features. First of all, its location. It is at the western portion of mainland Southeast Asia. So suppose this is Southeast Asia and it is at the western portion of mainland Southeast Asia. Okay, this is Myanmar, and its bordering water bodies are Andaman Sea and Bay of Bengal. Okay, and its bordering other nations are China, Laos, Thailand, India. Okay, Laos is the only country here which does not have any maritime border. Okay, that means it is a landlocked country. Okay, now we will see any PYQ related to this. So the PYQ related to this is in 2023 UPSC asked, with reference to India's project on connectivity, consider the following statement. Don't think that these projects are obsolete. These are still going, so they are still important for your examination. So what was the first statement? That east-west corridor under Golden Quadrilateral project connect Dibrugarh and Surat. So this was the first statement. Second statement, that trilateral highway connect Moreh in Manipur and Chiang Mai in Thailand via Myanmar. Okay, this was the second statement. And third statement was that Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar economic corridor connect Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh with Kunming in China. So to answer such type of very factual question, you should know the correct information about that question. Otherwise, there are very high chances that you will mark them as wrong. Okay, so basically, the east-west corridor under Golden Quadrilateral project is from Dibrugarh to Porbandar. Okay, so the first statement is incorrect. The second statement, that trilateral highway connect Moreh in Manipur to Chiang Mai, it the first part is correct, that it connect More in Manipur, but the second part is incorrect. So second statement become incorrect. Now the third statement, that Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar economic corridor connect Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh with Kunming in China. It connect from Kolkata to Kunming in China. So this statement is also incorrect. So the answer become D, none. Okay. These projects are still going on, so these are still important. Okay. So we have discussed the main news and place in news for today. Now we will briefly understand about the quick update for today. So the first quick update news is that commercial coal mining. And what is the context of this news? The context is that the first commercial coal mine in Arunachal Pradesh was inaugurated at Namchik Nampu coal block in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. So in 2008, there was a question that where does this coal block present, or in which state this coal block is there. So at that time, that answer, or presently that answer is also Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. So what is commercialization of coal mines? So basically before 2018, the mining of coal can only be done by the Coal Limited India, which is a state-owned company. That means it was monopoly of state. But private sector was allowed for mining coal for captive use. What does captive use mean? Suppose I have a steel plant and I want to use coal. So for using coal in my own plant, I can mine coal. So that is captive. That is captive mining, or for captive usage. We can the mining of coal could have been done before 2018 as well. But in 2018, that monopoly of state-owned Coal India Limited was removed. Now private players can participate in mining of coal. Okay. In the second quick update, we will read about the Kosi River. Okay, so what is the context for this river? That it has overflown and there are chances of floods in Nepal and in Bihar. So it is also called as sorrow of Bihar because of this tendency that it leads to floods many times in Bihar. So where it is? It is here. This is Kosi. So this is a left bank tributary of river Ganga. Okay. So you can see what are the tributary, left bank tributary of Ganga and right bank tributary, what is their order from east to west, or what is their order from west to east. Such type of question can be asked in the prelims examination. What are the other feature? That it is a transboundary river which originate in Tibet, which is in China. And Mount Everest and Kanchenjunga fall in the Kosi catchment. What does it means? That the water from Mount Everest as well as from Kanchenjunga comes to the Kosi river. That is the basic meaning of the catchment area. Okay. And its major tributaries are Kamla and Bagmati. Okay. So this was about the Kosi river. Now we'll look into the third quick update, that is security transaction tax. Why this is in news? Okay, so the Supreme Court has agreed to examine the constitutional validity of this tax. And why they have agreed to examine? Because the PIL which was filed has said that it is a double tax. That means whenever, suppose someone is buying a stock from the stock market, so they have to pay the security transaction tax at the starting. Suppose they gained from it, they have to pay the capital tax as well. So on the same amount, taxation is done twice. Okay, and even if there is loss, it will be there because it is applied at the starting only. So what is security transaction tax? It is a direct tax which is levied on the transaction of securities conducting through a recognized stock exchange in India. And it was introduced in 2004 by Finance Act of 2004. And the purpose of it was to curb tax evasion. So this is about security transaction tax. Now we'll see the next quick updates. That is about the legal protection of wetland in India. Okay, so this is the second next quick updates, and what is the context here? The context is that Supreme Court has declined to classify Nagpur's Futala Lake as wetland under the Wetland Conservation and Management Rule in rules of 2017. So about these rules, before them there was 2010 rules, and there was a UPSC question in prelims that Wetland Conservation and Management Rule of 2010 was on the recommendation of Ramsar. So that was a wrong statement because they were not formed on the recommendation of Ramsar Convention. Okay. So that was the question. And what is the judgment? That it has stated that the definition of wetland under 2017 rule exclude human-made water bodies constructed for irrigation purposes. Okay. So that is given in these rules that the water bodies constructed for the irrigation purposes will not be included as the wetland. Okay. And other exceptions are that river channels and paddy field will also be exempted. Okay. But such water bodies should be protected under the wider public trust doctrine as per the Article 21. So what is this public trust doctrine? That means that the state or the government will look after the public properties for the beneficial of the society. They will act as trust and safeguard those property which are beneficial for the human beings. Okay, that is the basic definition of public trust doctrine. Okay, now we'll look to the second last quick update, that is that Great Green Wall Initiative. And why this was in news? The news related to it was that it is facing significant challenges in Africa in implementation. Okay, so we will briefly understand about this initiative. So it was started in 2007 by African Union. So this is important fact that it was started by African Union, and it is there in 11 countries of Sahel region. Okay, this is the region where they are trying to build this Great Green Wall. Okay, so these are the 11 countries, and what was its objective? Its objective was to restore 100 million hectares of currently degraded land, which will lead to 250 million tons of carbon storage and create 10 million green jobs by 2030. So there are being issue in this in the implementation of this initiative. Okay. Similarly, Indian government has also launched an initiative which is known as Aravali Green Wall Initiative. Okay. So please look into the Aravali's Green Wall Initiative and write in the comment section from which state to which state this initiative is there. Okay, I am asking about the Aravali Green Wall Initiative, which is started by the Indian government in June 2025, I guess. And just write about the state which are connected by this initiative, like from which state to which state this initiative is present, or they are planning to implement this initiative. Okay. Now, moving to the last quick updates, that is about the district judge appointment. And why this is in news? It is in news because that Supreme Court held that the judicial officials with combined experience of 7 years as an advocate and in service will be eligible. Okay, so what is the major change? So major change is that uh, before this judgment, only the advocates was eligible to write the direct recruitment test for district judges. But the subordinate judges was not eligible to write the direct test. They could have become the district judges by the way of promotion as well as by the internal examination, which are very less. So Supreme Court has said that not only the advocate but also the subordinate judges, or which are also known as judicial officers, now are eligible for the direct text or the direct recruitment as the district judge. Supreme Court has said that the criteria of 7-year practice is applicable to judicial officers as well, and their combined service as advocate as well as the judicial official, when put together, is 7 year. They are eligible for district judge. And under which article district judge appointment is there? It is there under Article 233. And who is the appointment authority? The appointment authority is governor in consultation with the High Court. Okay, so this was today's session. For reading more about the other current affairs initiative of ours, you can go to our digital current affairs, where you can read various articles and update on our site, and you can also solve smart quizzes for preparation and revision as well. So all the best for your preparation. Thank you.